In this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips for mixing the low end of your music. I'll show you some processing techniques using equalization and special effects, and also show you some different kinds of routing that you can use to have more control over the low end of your mix. So here's the session that I've got going right now. For the most part, I have all the individual instruments mixed how I'd like them to sound, and they're all going through this master bus over here. So I'll play you back the audio so you can hear how it sounds, then I'll get into more of the techniques for the low end. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up an equalizer on my master bus. This is just one thing that you can do. I'm going to be using a PULTEC style EQ, specifically because I like the way that it controls the low end and gives you the option of boosting and cutting around the low frequencies together. You can play with these two knobs to find a sweet spot where you're boosting a good amount of the low end, but also not making it too muddy by using this attenuation right here to scoop out a little bit of the low mids. So I'll play it back and show you how you can use this EQ to really thicken up and tighten up the low end. So what I'm doing here with the low frequency selector right here is you can choose different frequencies from 20, 30, 60, and 100 hertz. Then what you do is you boost with this knob and then attenuate with this knob. And the difference is that the attenuation is occurring at a slightly higher frequency than the boost is. So it's just giving you a nice little low mid scoop right above this frequency. The thing about a PULTEC EQ is you don't have to really worry about just boosting a couple dB. You can use generous boost and attenuation, and it still sounds great. So I found that I liked the 30 hertz the best, and then boosting around 6 to 7 and attenuating between 7 and 8. So to me, PULTEC style equalization is one of the easiest ways to really fatten up the low end but keep it nice and tight at the same time. Next, I want to move on to a special effect that you can use for the low end as well, and this is the MaxxBass. This is a special processor from Waves. It uses their proprietary signal processing in order to synthesize a new bass sound that you can use to replace the original bass. This is good if you think your mix is going to be played back on like computer speakers or small earbuds or something like that. The MaxxBass signal is a little bit higher frequency, but it gives the perception of lower frequencies. So what you basically do with this plugin is fade in and out the original bass and the MaxxBass until you find a balance that you like. So play it back. There's not much to it. You just play around with these two knobs and you find a balance that you like, and hopefully what that'll do is cut out too much of the low rumble but give you still plenty of presence in the bass. Next I want to talk about is how you can use mid-side processing to focus the bass in your mix. So what I'm going to do specifically with this, the HEQ plugin from Waze, is I'm using mid-side processing. What I'm going to do is with the mid frequencies, I'm going to boost the low end around 150 hertz. Then with the side processing, I'm going to cut around 150 hertz. What this is going to do is that those really low frequencies of the bass guitar and the kick drum are now going to be focused in the center of my mix. I'm going to pull them out a little bit from the sides. And so what that's going to do is now all the really low frequencies are being played back through both speakers at the same time. They're going to be perceived by being in the center of the mix, and then it's going to widen up the higher frequencies to be perceived more through the sides. So I'll play it back and show you what's going on. So here's the sides by itself. See how I'm pulling out that low end at 150 hertz. Here's the mid. Now then together. What this kind of processing also allows you to do is have control over these things separately. So I can change the volume of the middle channel right here and change the volume of the sides. So I can almost use it as a control over the stereo width as well. So hopefully you're able to hear how I could focus the really low end to the center of the mix. And that's what I was always really trying to do with this kind of mid-side processing. I'm going to show you a different way to do that using some special kind of routing for your mix. So what I've done already is created two auxiliary tracks here in my session, one called low end and one called high end. What I'm going to do is route all my audio from my session by shift clicking here, then shift option clicking on the output of each channel. And I have a bus called submix. Now all my tracks are going to be going over here to my submix. What I've done is used two equalizer filters here. The first one is a low pass filter at 150 hertz with a 6 dB per octave filter cutoff. Then for the other one, I've basically have the complement of that, 150 hertz high pass filter with 6 dB per octave. What this is going to allow you to do now is have independent control over the low end and the high end of your mix. So I'll play it back and mute these so you can hear how they sound. This is just the low end. This is just the high end. So not only does this give you independent faders for each of these parts, but as I was doing before, you can use the panning to focus the bass in the center of your mix. So before I was using mid-side processing to focus the low end in the center, but now I'm just using different kinds of routing. Another thing that you can do is then after you have these things split out into different tracks, the low end and the high end, you could insert different effects. So here what I'm going to do is use the Waves NLS bus to add a lot of harmonics using the Neve console to the low end of my mix, but then the high end, I'm not using the drive as much. What this is going to do is just provide a little bit more saturation and glue to the low end. So hopefully you guys got some idea about things that you can do to really get control over the low end of your mix and improve the quality of the sound by tightening it up and making it really fat.